Learn how to use an XML HTTP request to asynchronously fetch a JSON file from a server and pass it into a live JavaScript object. In this lesson, we want to look at how you can fetch data with Ajax from a server. You will notice that in the previous lessons, we've tried to hard-coded our JSON string directly in our code to practice. In a real scenario or in a real world application, your data lives externally on a server, and to grab it without forcing the user to reload the entire page, you make use of a technique called Ajax, asynchronous JavaScript and XML. So by using a built-in browser tool called XML HTTP request, your script can send a background message to the server, wait for the text file to arrive, and pass it into an active object the second it lands. So let's look at an example that actually demonstrates this. Now, let's move inside the script side. For this example, we want to assume that we want to actually fetch the data from a server, like from an external source. And for that purpose, I've added a txt file here. You can see json.demo.txt, and it contains an object, name, age, and then the pet of this particular person. So let's move on, and the first thing I want to do is I want to make a variable and call it XML HTTP. So this is going to call on the new browser built-in XML HTTP request. And once we have this, then you can call on the unload property. Unload. And this is going to receive a function. Inside that function, let's make a variable called my object and use json.pass method and set it to this.response text. So the response text is a read-only XML HTTP request property. Response text return the text received from the server following the request being sent. So this is a property that is needed, and I have added it, and then you can go on to use the document object element by ID to extract the name from the the name property from our object. But if you look at what we have here, nothing is actually happening. So let's go ahead and make the request. Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to use the open method, Ajax open method, to set our HTTP ver. So in this part, we want to use get as HTTP verb or action, and then want to pass in the location of where our file is. For this example, I have it locally on my system, so I will just navigate to it, jsondemo.txt, and then I can send the request. And if you look at this right now, actually nothing is happening. Let me inspect. Then I definitely must have missed something. So is there any error in the console? Yes. JSON.pass expected character as line 1 column 1 of the JSON data. JSON.pass this.response text. Document.get element by ID demo my object.name. So what exactly is the problem? New XML HTTP request. XML HTTP dot unload. Okay, let me remove this. That file cannot be found. Let me refresh. I think the file not found. I think I put it in the root folder. Oh, okay. Let me put it into the root folder. So the mistake was that I put it inside another folder instead of the root folder. So instead of navigating into that folder, I was now navigating into the root folder, and that was the issue. Now, look at it now. You can see John. If you want to extract something else, like what do we have? Age. You can, navigate, and then this also will fetch it. I will also have other things like pets. You can see this. So if you want to do other things like maybe pets, and then you probably set the index position. What do you have at the index position of 0 dot name? And now you can see that right now I'm even able to access the nested objects inside this array. So if I want it 0, 1, 2, the index position of 2, I can pass it inside the bracket notation, and then it will, give it to me. And if I want any other property, maybe what else do we want? We have lightning, we have fates. Or we want the animal name itself. You can just pass it in animal. So this is the property, and then this will return hamster. And you can see the animal name is hamster. Now, if you look closely at what we have just done, well, our example shows that the script here initiates a background request to fetch a text file name JSON_demo.txt from the server. So once the server responds with the file text content, the script unloads event trigger, which is what we have here, that is this function's trigger, instantly passing that incoming text payload and displaying the extracted name on the web page. And that is the purpose of this get element by ID. Whatever is returned from the server will be displayed through the inner.html method and display it on the screen. So you can see how you can fetch data with Ajax from a live server. So we are basically creating a new network request with the XML built-in HTTP request. So this creates a new network request agent object. This object asks your background courier to talk to web server, and the XML HTTP unload. It defines a listener function that waits patiently. So the moment the server successfully returns the requested file, this block of code automatically wakes up and runs. And JSON.parse this response text inside the listener holds the raw text string delivered by the server. So we feed it right into the JSON.parse to turn it into an active object, and that's the purpose of this line. And this configures the request. It specifies the HTTP method, means we are retrieving the data, and that's the purpose of get and the location of the file that we want, which is in this JSON_demo.txt, and the XML_HTTP.send method fire the request off into the network. Because this is asynchronous, your web page stays completely responsive while the data travels.